You are not a human, not anymore. To the village of 14th century Shropshire, you are a walking graveyard, a living vessel for the filth of the dead. Look at your hands. They are stained, not with dirt, but with the invisible weight of 1,000 lies, thefts, and murders. You live in a cramped, drafty shack on the edge of the damp woods, far from the reach of the church bells. You survive in a landscape of gray stone and thick mud, where the air always tastes of peat smoke and wet wool. The villagers believe your very breath carries the rod of hell, so you are never spoken to, only signaled. You have no name, you have no opinion, and you certainly do not eat every day. You only eat when someone dies. That sound? That is your salary. A few measly groats and a crust of stale bread. It is the price the living pay to make sure their loved ones do not burn. And today, the bell has tolled. Someone has just died. There is a knock at your door, but you do not answer. They do not want to see your face. They leave a wooden bowl on your doorstep as your invitation to the house of mourning. As you walk through the village, the world turns cold. People cross the street to avoid your shadow, and mothers pull their children into doorways, covering their eyes. They look at you with a mix of terror and pity, seeing you as a necessary evil, a monster they hate, but a savior they need. You enter the room. The air is thick with the smell of beeswax, stale sweat, and the iron scent of death. There, on the heavy oak table, lies the body of a wealthy landowner. They say he was a cruel man, a greedy man who bled the poor dry. Lucky for him, you are starving. They place a thick loaf of barley bread on the dead man's cold chest. They pour a bowl of bitter ale and pass it over the corpse. In their minds, that bread is a sponge, soaking up his vanity, his adultery, and the blood on his hands. It is all migrating into the crust you are about to consume. The family stands huddled in the shadows, watching you with disgust. They do not offer you a chair or a kind word. You sit on the rushes on the floor at the foot of the corpse. This is your life swap. While he earns a ticket to paradise, you take another step toward damnation. You take a bite. The bread is dry, tasting of dust and incense. With every swallow, you feel his sins becoming your own, a physical weight settling in your chest. You drink the ale to wash down the shame. You look into the glassy eyes of the dead man and realize you are now the owner of his darkest secrets, things even his wife never knew. You carry his burden so he can go to God unencumbered. You stand up. The ritual is done, but there is no thank you. The moment the last crumb is gone, the fear in the room turns into aggression. They do not want a sin-filled creature in their home a second longer. They shoo you out with sticks and iron pokers, throwing stones at your back as you retreat into the night. You return to your shack and look into a cracked mirror at a face that has not smiled in years. You are the ultimate slave, not to a master, but to the afterlife of strangers. You have no friends, and you are forbidden from entering a church. Even the village dogs will not bark at you anymore. They just whimper and hide when you pass. But tomorrow, another bell will toll, another soul will be heavy, and you will be hungry again. So tell me, if you could swap lives for just one day, would you eat the sins of a king, or would you rather die with your own?